The Day Aliens. Sent an SOS. Deathworlders fleet. Answered. Captain Day Kim stood on the bridge of the UNS Indomitable, watching the stars drift past on the main screen. His ship had been patrolling the outer rim for 3 weeks now, and nothing interesting had happened. That was fine with him. Boring was good in space. Boring meant everyone stayed alive. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," Lieutenant Una Park said from her station. She was the communications officer, and she rarely got excited about anything, but now her fingers moved quickly across her console, and her eyes were wide. Day walked over to her station. "What is it?" "It's a distress beacon. Galactic Council frequency." She pressed a button, and a voice filled the bridge. It was high-pitched and trembling with fear. The words came through the translator in broken sentences. "This is the colony ship Serenity's Hope. We are under attack. 5 warships. Krath Dominion. They are breaking through our hull. Please, anyone who can hear this, we have 30,000 civilians on board. Families, children. We need help. Please." The message repeated. Day could hear weapons fire in the background. He could hear screaming. "How far away are they?" he asked. Una checked her screens. 3 days at maximum burn, sir." "Are there any other council ships closer?" She shook her head. "No, sir. The closest peacekeeping fleet is 12 days out. I'm picking up the official council response now." She played it. A calm, bureaucratic voice said, "Serenity's Hope, this is Galactic Council Command. All available peacekeeping forces are 12 days from your position. Prepare for evacuation procedures. Transmit all important data now. Council Command out." Day felt anger rise in his chest. 12 days. The Velkin on that ship didn't have 12 days. They probably didn't have 12 hours. Commander Tae Song, his first officer, stepped up beside him. Tae was a veteran of the colony wars. He had seen plenty of combat. "Sir, the Krath don't take prisoners. If we don't respond, everyone on that ship dies." "I know," Day said quietly. "The council said 12 days. By then, it will be over." "I know that too." The bridge went silent. Everyone was watching him. Day knew what they were thinking. They were thinking the same thing he was. 1 ship against 5. Those were terrible odds. The smart thing would be to stay on patrol and let the council handle it. But Day had not joined the United Nations Space Force to be smart. He had joined to help people. "Una, open a channel to all departments," he said. "Channel open, sir." Day took a breath. "All hands, this is the captain. We just received a distress call from a Velkin colony ship. They're under attack by 5 Krath warships. 30,000 civilians are going to die unless someone helps them. The Galactic Council says help is 12 days away. We're 3 days away." He paused. "I'm not going to order anyone to do this, but I'm going anyway. If you want to come with me, stay at your post. If you don't, I understand. No one will think less of you." He waited. The bridge was completely silent. No one moved. Then Una spoke. "Helm, set course for the Velkin ship. Maximum burn." Pilot Sung Kwan grinned at his console. "Maximum burn, aye. 3 days to contact." "Engineering, this is the bridge," Tae said into his comm. "We need everything you've got." Engineer Mina Lee's voice came back. She sounded tired but determined. "You'll get it, Commander. I'll push these engines past their limits if I have to." Chief Medical Officer Hana Choi spoke next. "Medical Bay is preparing for casualties, Captain." Day felt pride swell in his chest. This was why he loved his crew. They didn't hesitate. They didn't complain. They just did what needed to be done. "Thank you," he said simply. "Battle stations. We've got 3 days to prepare." The ship hummed as it accelerated. Day returned to his captain's chair and pulled up information about the Krath Dominion. What he read was not encouraging. The Krath were predators. They came from a low-gravity world and were tall and thin, with 4 arms and excellent eyesight. They were raiders who attacked weaker species for sport and profit. The Velkin were perfect targets. They were peaceful traders with fragile bodies and outdated weapons. Tay stood beside his chair. 5 ships, sir. Even if they're not expecting us, those are bad odds. I know. Do you have a plan? Day smiled grimly. I'm working on it. Over the next 3 days, the crew of the Indomitable prepared for battle. Yuna intercepted Krath communications and learned everything she could about their tactics. Sung ran combat simulations until he could fly the ship in his sleep. Mina pushed the engines harder than they were designed to go, cutting their travel time down to 2 days and 18 hours. And Day planned. He called a meeting in the conference room with his senior staff. Tay was there, along with Hana, Mina, and Sergeant Jin Huang, who commanded the ship's 200 Marines. Here's the situation, Day said, bringing up a hologram of 5 Krath warships surrounding the Velkin colony ship. If we fight them ship to ship, we lose. They outnumber us 5-1, and their ships are roughly equal to ours in firepower. So what do we do? Jin asked. He was a big man with scars on his face and hands that had seen plenty of fighting. We use the one advantage we have, Day said. We're from Earth. We're Deathworlders. The others nodded slowly. They all knew what that meant. Earth was classified as a Class 12 Deathworld by the Galactic Council. It had 3 times the gravity of most inhabited planets. It had predators everywhere, diseases that could kill most aliens in hours, weather that ranged from killing heat to killing cold. Humans had evolved to survive in hell. That made them faster than most aliens, stronger, tougher. Human reflexes were lightning quick compared to species from gentler worlds. Human endurance was legendary, and humans could take damage that would kill other species and keep fighting. The Krath are ambush predators from a low-gravity world, Day continued. In a straight fight, ship against ship, they're dangerous. But up close, in hand-to-hand combat, we'll tear them apart. Jin leaned forward. You're talking about boarding actions. Yes. Sir, boarding enemy ships in the middle of combat is considered suicide by every military in the galaxy. Day smiled. By every military except ours. Jin thought for a moment, then grinned. My Marines are ready, Captain. We'll take their ships. Good. Because I'm going to need you to capture at least 2 of them while we engage the others. They spent the next 12 hours refining the plan. It was risky. It was insane. But it might work. When they were finished, Day stood. Get some rest, all of you. In 18 hours, we jump into hell. As they left, Yuna stayed behind. Sir, should I inform Galactic Command of our intentions? Day considered. No. If we ask permission, they'll order us to stand down. It's easier to apologize later than ask permission now. You could be court-martialed for this. Probably. And you're doing it anyway? Day looked at the star map, at the point where 30,000 Velkin were fighting for their lives. Those people asked for help, Yuna. Someone has to answer. She nodded and left. Alone on the bridge, Day composed a message and sent it on the Velkin frequency. It was short. Serenity's Hope. This is Captain Day Kim of the UNS Indomitable. Hold on. The Deathworlders are coming. The Day aliens sent an SOS. Deathworlders' fleet answered. The ship felt different now. Everyone on board knew they were heading into a fight they might not win. But instead of fear, there was determination. The crew of the Indomitable had made their choice. In the engine room, Mina Lee worked without stopping. She had been awake for 20 hours straight, fine-tuning every system. Her hands were covered in grease and her eyes were red from staring at diagnostic screens. Chief, you need to rest, one of her engineers said. Mina shook her head. We're asking these engines to do things they weren't designed for. If something breaks during combat, people die. So no, I don't need rest. I need everything working perfectly. She ran another test. The engines were running at 112% capacity. Any engineering manual would say that was impossible. Any safety inspector would shut her down immediately. But Mina had spent 15 years learning what these engines could really do, and she knew they had more to give. On the gun deck, weapons crews checked and rechecked their systems. The Indomitable carried railguns that fired metal slugs at a fraction of light speed, missile batteries that could track dozens of targets, and laser arrays designed to cut through armor. Every weapon was being calibrated to perfection. In the Marine Bay, Sergeant Jin Huang gathered his 200 Marines. They were the toughest fighters on the ship, trained for boarding actions and ground combat. Most of them had seen battle before. Some had scars to prove it. "Listen up," Jin said, his voice carrying across the bay. "We're going up against 5 Krath warships. The Krath are trained fighters. They have 4 arms, which means they can use more weapons than you. They have better eyesight, which means they can see you coming. On paper, they should win." He paused and looked at his Marines. "But we're not fighting on paper. We're fighting in reality. And in reality, the Krath come from a world with half Earth's gravity. That means their bones are weaker, their muscles are softer. They've never had to fight anything truly dangerous." Jin smiled. It was not a nice smile. "We come from Earth. We come from a world that tried to kill our ancestors every single day. Our planet made us strong because anything weak died. So when you board those Krath ships, remember that. You're faster, you're tougher, and you're meaner. Show them what a Deathworlder can do." The Marines shouted in response. They were ready. On the bridge, Yuna continued listening to Krath communications. The more she heard, the angrier she got. The Krath weren't just attacking the Velkin ship for military reasons. They were hunting them for fun. They were laughing as they broke through the hull. They were making bets on how many Velkin they could kill. "Captain, you need to hear this," she said, and played one of the intercepted messages. A Krath voice, translated into English, said, "The soft skins are hiding in the cargo bay. I count at least 200. This is going to be fun." Then there was weapons fire and screaming. Day's jaw tightened. Tay, standing beside him, looked like he wanted to put his fist through something. "How much longer?" Day asked. 16 hours, sir," Shung said from the helm. The pilot had barely left his station. He ran simulation after simulation, planning every possible approach angle. 16 hours. It felt like forever. Hana worked in the medical bay with her team. They set up extra beds. They prepared surgical equipment. They stocked blood supplies and trauma kits. She knew what was coming. She had been a combat medic before becoming a doctor. She had seen what modern weapons did to human bodies. But she had never treated aliens before. The Velkin had different biology, different organs, different blood chemistry. She studied everything she could find in the medical database, memorizing details she might need to save lives. Her assistant, Isel Bai, was a xenobiologist. She helped Hana understand Velkin physiology. "Their bodies are fragile compared to ours," Isul explained. "Lower bone density, thinner skin, weaker immune systems. What would be a minor injury to a human could be fatal to them." "Then we'll have to be very careful," Hana said. Time crawled forward. The Indomitable raced through space, pushing its engines to the limit. Everyone on board knew they might be flying to their deaths. But no one complained. No one asked to turn back. 8 hours before contact, Day called another meeting. This time, he included all department heads. "I want everyone to understand the plan," he said. He brought up the tactical display. "We drop out of faster-than-light travel here behind the Velkin colony ship. That gives us cover and puts the colony ship between us and some of the Krath vessels." He pointed to different parts of the display. "Seung, you'll need to fly like you've never flown before. Use the colony ship as a shield. Keep moving. Don't let them get a clear shot at us." "I can do it, sir," Seung said confidently. "Mina, I need all power to engines and weapons. Life support can go to minimum. Shut down everything that's not essential." "Understood, Captain." "Jin, You and your Marines will board 2 of the Krath ships. I'll launch your pods during the chaos. Once you're aboard, move fast. Take the bridge and engine room. We need control of those ships." Jin nodded. "How long do we have?" 20 minutes, maybe less. If you take longer than that, we'll be dead and you'll be stranded. Then we'll be faster." Day looked at everyone in the room. "This is going to be brutal. We're 1 ship against 5. We're going to take damage. We're going to have casualties. But if we do this right, we can save 30,000 lives." "And if we do it wrong?" someone asked. "Then we die," Day said simply. "But at least we tried. At least we answered when someone called for help." The meeting ended. People returned to their stations. The ship felt tense now, like a coiled spring ready to release. 4 hours before contact, Day allowed himself a moment of doubt. He sat in his quarters, looking at a picture of Earth on his wall. He thought about his family back home, his parents, his sister. Would he ever see them again? Then he thought about the Velkin, about the children on that colony ship, hiding in cargo bays while monsters hunted them, about the parents trying to protect them with nothing but their bodies, about the crew members fighting with outdated weapons against impossible odds. No, he couldn't turn back, not when people needed help. He stood, straightened his uniform, and returned to the bridge. 1 hour before contact, the ship went to full battle stations. Every crew member was at their post. Weapons were armed, engines were ready, Marines were in their boarding pods, waiting for launch. Yuna picked up another Velkin transmission. "Captain, the colony ship is still broadcasting. They're still alive." "How many?" "Unknown, sir, but they're still fighting." Day nodded. "Then we're not too late." 30 minutes before contact, he opened a channel to the entire ship. "All hands, this is the captain. In 30 minutes, we jump into combat. I won't lie to you. This is going to be the hardest fight of our lives. But I want you to remember something. We're humans. We're from Earth. We survived ice ages and plagues and wars. We climbed to the top of our food chain because we never gave up. Today, we show the galaxy why they call us Deathworlders." He paused. "Today we answer the call. Today we save lives. All hands prepare for combat. Captain out." The minutes ticked down. 10, 5, 1. "Dropping from faster than light in 3, 2, 1, Sung said. The stars shifted. The Indomitable appeared in normal space, and the battle began. The Day Aliens sent an SOS. Deathworlders' fleet answered. The Indomitable dropped into chaos. The Velkin colony ship hung in space like a dying animal, surrounded by 5 Krath warships. Hull breaches glowed red across its surface. Bodies drifted in the vacuum. The Krath ships circled slowly, firing methodically, taking their time. "Multiple contacts," Yuna reported. 5 Krath warships, just as we expected. They're detecting us now." On the main screen, one of the Krath ships turned toward them. A face appeared on the display. The alien was tall and thin with 4 arms and too many teeth. Its translator made its voice sound cold and amused. "A human ship," the Krath said. "How entertaining. I am Warlord Krathix. This is our hunt. Turn around, little Deathworlder, and perhaps I will let you live." Day stood from his chair. "This is Captain Day Kim of the United Nations Space Force. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from this area. This is your only warning." Krathix laughed. It was a terrible sound. "Or what? You are 1 ship. We are 5. Your species may be strong, but you are not stupid. Leave now." 20 seconds, Day said calmly. "You're bluffing." 10 seconds. Krathix stopped laughing. "You're serious. You actually think you can fight us?" He leaned closer to the camera. "Very well, human. Die with honor." The transmission cut off. "All ships are targeting us," Yuna said. "Weapons charging." "Sung, move us," Day ordered. "Mina, all power to forward shields." "Moving," Sung said. His hands danced across the controls, and the Indomitable dove toward the colony ship. The craft fired. Energy beams cut through space where the Indomitable had been a second ago. Shung spun the ship using the massive colony ship as cover. More shots came, and he dodged each one with impossible precision. "They're trying to flank us," Tay said, watching the tactical display. "Let them try," Day said. "Weapons, target the lead ship, full lance strike." The Indomitable's main weapon was a lance cannon. It fired a concentrated beam of energy that could punch through almost anything, but it took time to charge and used enormous power. "Lance charged," the weapons officer said. "Firing!" A brilliant beam of white light shot from the Indomitable. It hit the lead craft ship directly in the center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's shields collapsed, and the beam burned through its armor like paper. Explosions rippled across its hull. "Direct hit," Tay reported. "Their ship is crippled." On the enemy flagship, Krathix watched in shock as one of his ships went dark. How? How did they penetrate our shields so quickly?" His second-in-command looked terrified. "Sir, their weapons are much more powerful than we calculated. Human technology is more advanced than intelligence suggested." "Then destroy them!" Krathix roared. "All ships, concentrate fire!" But Shung was already moving. He flew the Indomitable like a fighter instead of a heavy cruiser, spinning and diving, using every piece of debris as cover. Shots that should have hit them missed by meters. In the engine room, Mina watched her displays with growing concern. "We're running too hot," she muttered. "Engines at 115%. Hull stress increasing." She opened a channel to the bridge. "Captain, we can't keep this up forever." "We don't need forever," Day said. "Just a few more minutes. Jin, are you ready?" In the Marine Bay, Jin and his 200 Marines were packed into boarding pods. These were small, armored ships designed to punch through enemy hulls and deliver troops directly inside. "Ready, sir," Jin said. "Just get us close." "Sung, bring us alongside those two ships on our port side," Day ordered. "Aye, sir." The Indomitable spun and accelerated. Krath weapons fire followed them, but Seung was always one step ahead. He brought the ship in close to two of the Krath warships, so close that the enemy couldn't fire without hitting their own vessels. "Launch pods," Day said. 20 boarding pods shot from the Indomitable like bullets. They crossed the short distance in seconds and slammed into the Krath ship's hulls. Cutting lasers activated, burning through armor. Then the pods opened, and Jin's Marines poured into the enemy ships. The Krath crew had no idea what hit them. Inside the first Krath ship, Jin led his squad down a corridor. The gravity was light, about half of Earth normal. To the Krath, this was comfortable. To humans, it felt like moving on the moon. Jin moved fast. His magnetic boots kept him grounded, but he could jump 3 times higher than normal. When the first Krath warriors appeared, firing energy weapons, Jin simply leaped over their shots and landed among them. The Krath had 4 arms. They were excellent shots. They had trained for years. None of it mattered. Jin moved with speed the Krath couldn't match. He grabbed 1 by 2 of its arms and threw it into a wall with bone-breaking force. His squad opened fire with human weapons, solid projectiles that punched through Krath armor. In 10 seconds, the corridor was clear. "Bridge is this way," one of his Marines said, checking a map. They moved through the ship like a storm. Every group of Krath they encountered fell within seconds. The aliens were shocked by human speed and strength. They had expected a normal boarding action, with both sides taking cover and exchanging fire. They hadn't expected humans to charge directly at them and tear them apart. On the other Krath ship, another Marine squad had similar success. The Krath warriors couldn't understand how these humans moved so fast, hit so hard, and kept fighting even when wounded. One Krath commander tried to seal blast doors and trap the humans. The Marines simply cut through the doors with plasma torches and kept moving. "Captain, first squad has reached the bridge of enemy ship 1. Jin reported over the comm. Taking control now. Second squad reporting. We have their engine room. Yuna was already working. As soon as the Marines took control, she hacked into the Krath ship's computer systems. Within minutes, she had access to their weapons. Captain, I have control of both captured ships, she said with satisfaction. Their weapons are now ours. Day smiled. Fire at will. The two captured Krath ships turned their guns on their former allies. Energy beams lashed out, catching the remaining 3 ships by surprise. One took heavy damage to its engines. Another lost its shields. Krathix watched his perfect hunt collapse into disaster. This is impossible. They're just one ship. 2 ships now, sir, his aide said nervously. They've captured 2 of ours. I can see that, Krathix screamed. All remaining ships, retreat, retreat. But Day wasn't done. Target the damaged ship. All weapons. The Indomitable and the 2 captured ships fired together. The damaged Krath warship exploded in a ball of fire. 2 of the remaining Krath ships managed to jump away to faster-than-light speed, but Krathix's flagship was too slow. The Indomitable closed in. Please, Krathix said, his earlier confidence gone. Please, we surrender. You should have thought of that before you hunted civilians, Day said coldly. But I'm not like you. Power down your weapons and prepare to be boarded. Krathix's ship went dark. It was over. The bridge of the Indomitable erupted in cheers. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had actually won. But Day didn't cheer. He looked at the Velkin colony ship, still burning in space. Damage report. Multiple hull breaches, Tay said. 47 crew members dead. 103 wounded. Ship systems are failing across multiple decks. 47 dead. Day felt each loss like a knife, but he couldn't think about that now. What about the Velkin? Yuna checked her console. They're still broadcasting. Life support is failing, but they're alive. Then we get to work, Day said. All hands, begin rescue operations. The Day aliens sent an SOS, Deathworlders fleet. Answered the Velkin colony ship was dying. Fires burned in compartments open to space. Emergency lights flickered. Bodies floated in corridors that had lost atmosphere. But people were still alive, and that meant there was work to do. Day organized the rescue operation from his damaged bridge. Jin, take your Marines into the colony ship. Find survivors and get them to safe areas. Mina, we need to stabilize their life support before everyone suffocates. On it, both officers responded. Hana gathered her medical team. Bring everything we have. Trauma kits, surgical equipment, oxygen tanks. Move fast. People are dying. She led a team of 20 medics into the colony ship through an emergency airlock. What she found inside was worse than she had imagined. The corridors were filled with wounded Velkin. The aliens were small, barely reaching Hana's shoulder. With gray skin and large eyes. They looked fragile, like children. Many were injured, bleeding from wounds that would have been minor for humans, but were serious for their delicate bodies. Doctor, Isol said beside her, we need to triage. There are too many wounded. We have to prioritize. Hana hated triage. It meant deciding who to save and who to let die. But Isol was right. They didn't have enough resources to help everyone at once. Critical cases first, Hana said. Anyone who will die in the next hour gets immediate treatment. Everyone else has to wait. Her team spread out. They worked quickly, using human medical techniques adapted for Velkin biology. The Velkin watched them with wide, fearful eyes. They had never seen humans before. To them, these tall, heavy-gravity creatures must have looked terrifying. But the humans were gentle. They spoke softly. They worked carefully. And slowly, the Velkin began to understand that these strange aliens were here to help. In one compartment, Hana found a Velkin child with a piece of metal stuck in her chest. The child's mother was dead beside her. The child was crying, making small sounds of pain. "It's okay," Hana said softly, kneeling beside the child. "I'm going to help you." The child looked at her with huge eyes. "Are you a monster?" Hana smiled sadly. "No, little one. I'm a doctor, and I'm going to make you better." She worked quickly, removing the metal and sealing the wound. The child would live. Hana moved on to the next patient, and the next, and the next. Her hands were covered in blood. Her back ached from bending over. But she didn't stop. In another part of the ship, Jin and his Marines searched for survivors. They found a sealed cargo bay with life signs inside. "This is Sergeant Jin Huang of the UNS Indomitable," he called through the door. "We're here to rescue you. Please open the door." There was silence. Then a frightened voice replied, "How do we know you're not Krath?" "Because the Krath would have cut through the door by now," Jin said. "We're human. We came to help." The door opened slowly. Inside were 200 Velkin huddled together in the dark. They had been hiding for 3 days, listening to the sounds of battle outside, waiting to die. When they saw the human Marines, tall and armored, some of them gasped in fear, but Jin removed his helmet, showing his face. "It's okay," he said. "The Krath are gone. You're safe now." One of the Velkin stepped forward. She was older than the others, wearing what looked like official robes. "I am Ambassador Nira," she said. Her voice shook. "Are we truly safe?" "Yes, ma'am," Jin said. "We destroyed or captured the Krath ships. They can't hurt you anymore." Nira's legs gave out and she sat down hard. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you." The Marines helped the survivors out of the cargo bay and guided them to areas with working life support. Some of the Velkin children stared at the humans with wonder. One small child walked up to Jin and touched his armor. "You're so big," the child said. Jin knelt down. "That's because I'm from Earth. We grow big and strong there." "Are you a warrior?" "Yes." "Did you fight the bad aliens?" "I did." The child thought about this. "Thank you for saving us, Sky Warrior." Jin felt something tighten in his chest. Sky Warrior. He liked that. Mina and her engineering team worked in the colony ship's engine room. The place was a disaster. Systems were fried. Coolant was leaking. The main reactor was barely functioning. "This is going to take days to repair," one of her engineers said. "We don't have days," Mina said. "We need basic life support working in the next 6 hours, or people will start dying from oxygen loss." She rolled up her sleeves and got to work. Human engineering was different from Velkin engineering, but the basic principles were the same. She bypassed broken systems, rerouted power, and patched leaks. It was exhausting work, but gradually, the colony ship began to stabilize. On the Indomitable's bridge, Yuna picked up a transmission from far away. "Captain?" "There's a ship approaching. Fast." Day tensed. "Krath?" "No, sir. It's broadcasting UNS identification codes." She looked up with surprise. "It's the UNS Tempest. Captain Junho is here." Day felt relief. The Tempest was a medical ship, equipped to handle mass casualties. Junho must have heard about their mission and come to help. The Tempest appeared on the screen, and Junho's face filled the display. He was an older man with gray hair and a kind face. But now he looked stern. "Day, what the hell did you think you were doing?" he said. "You engaged 5 enemy warships without authorization. Galactic Command is furious. You're being officially reprimanded." "Are you here to arrest me, Junho?" Day asked. Junho's stern expression broke into a smile. "Hell no. I'm here to help. Besides, someone has to keep you from getting killed." He paused. "How bad is it?" 47 dead on my ship. Over 1,000 wounded Velkin. The colony ship is barely functional." "Then we'd better get to work. Tempest out." The medical ship moved into position, and shuttles began transferring the most critical patients. Junho's crew brought supplies, medical equipment, and fresh personnel. The rescue operation doubled in efficiency. For 3 days, the crews of both human ships worked without stopping. They repaired hull breaches. They treated the wounded. They recovered the dead and gave them proper respect. Human and Velkin worked side by side, learning to understand each other. Ambassador Nira watched it all. She saw human doctors work for 20 hours straight without complaining. She saw human engineers share their food with hungry Velkin children. She saw human Marines teach Velkin security officers better defensive tactics. She recorded everything with her personal device. The galaxy needed to see this. They needed to understand what humans really were. On the 4th day, the colony ship's life support was stable. The wounded were recovering. The dead had been honored. And Day finally allowed himself to rest. He sat in his quarters, exhausted beyond words. 47 of his crew were dead, good people who would never see their families again. The weight of their loss pressed on his chest. There was a knock on his door. "Come in," he said. Ambassador Nira entered. She looked much better now, clean and dressed in fresh robes. "Captain Kim, I wanted to thank you personally. You saved 30,000 lives. At the cost of 47 of my own," Day said quietly. "Yes, and I will make sure the galaxy knows about their sacrifice, and about your courage." She sat down across from him. "Can I ask you a question?" "Of course." "Why did you come? Your own government told you not to. You risked your life and your career. Why?" Day thought for a moment. "Because you asked for help, and where I come from, when someone asks for help, you answer." Nira smiled. "The galaxy calls you Deathworlders. They say your planet made you into monsters, but I think your planet made you into heroes." The day aliens sent an SOS, Deathworlders' fleet answered. 3 weeks later, Day stood in the Galactic Council chambers on the planet Unity. The room was enormous, with representatives from 200 species sitting in curved rows. At the center stood Day, alone, facing judgment. The council speaker, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 eyes, looked down at him with disapproval. "Captain Day Kim, you are here to answer for your unauthorized military action. You engaged 5 enemy warships without permission from Galactic Command. You risked an interstellar incident. You violated at least 7 council regulations." Day stood straight. "Yes, sir." "Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Before Day could answer, another voice spoke. "I do." Ambassador Nira walked into the chamber. She wore formal robes and carried a data device. Behind her walked 20 other Velkin, including children who had been on the colony ship. "Ambassador Nira," the speaker said, "this is a military hearing. Civilians are not permitted to speak." "Then change your rules," Nira said firmly, "because I am going to speak, and you are going to listen." The chamber went silent. Nira walked to the center and activated her data device. A hologram appeared, showing the battle, showing the Indomitable fighting against impossible odds, showing human Marines boarding enemy ships, showing human doctors treating wounded Velkin. "My people sent a distress call," Nira said. "We were dying. 30,000 civilians, including 5,000 children, were being hunted by Krath raiders. We asked for help. The Galactic Council's response was that help would arrive in 12 days. She paused and looked around the chamber. "We didn't have 12 days. We had hours, maybe less. So we sent out another call, a desperate call. And Captain Day Kim answered." The hologram showed the Indomitable dropping out of faster-than-light speed, 1 ship against 5. "He came with 1 ship," Nira continued. "1 crew. He faced odds that any military academy would call suicide, and he won. But more than that, after the battle was over, his crew didn't leave. They stayed. They worked for 3 days without rest to save my people." She showed footage of human doctors treating Velkin children, of human engineers repairing the colony ship, of human marines carrying wounded Velkin to safety. I watched a human doctor work for 20 hours straight without food or water because she refused to stop while people needed help. I watched a human engineer give up his own oxygen supply to a dying Velkin worker. I watched human soldiers cry when they recovered the bodies of Velkin children they couldn't save. Nira's voice grew stronger. The Council calls humans Deathworlders like it's an insult, like they're dangerous and uncivilized. But I learned what that word really means. It means they come from a world so hard that only the strong survive. It means they know how to fight, but it also means they know why to fight. She looked directly at Day. Captain Kim fought to save lives, not for glory, not for profit, but because it was right. Because when someone calls for help, you answer. The chamber was completely silent now. The speaker leaned forward. Ambassador, are you asking us to dismiss the charges? I'm asking you to open your eyes, Nira said. The Krath Dominion has been raiding the outer systems for years. They attack peaceful species because they know we can't defend ourselves. They know the Council's military takes too long to respond. And they're right. If Captain Kim hadn't come, my people would all be dead. She gestured to the other Velkin with her. These are survivors. 20 of them. They want to tell you what they saw. What humans did for them. You can court-martial Captain Kim if you want. But first, you will hear their stories. One by one, the Velkin survivors spoke. They told of being rescued, of human kindness, of the Sky Warriors who saved them. When they finished, the speaker was quiet for a long time. Finally, he spoke. This council will take a recess to discuss this matter. The representatives filed out. Day was left standing alone with Nira. Thank you, he said quietly. Don't thank me yet, she replied. The council hates being wrong, and you proved them very wrong. An hour later, the council reconvened. The speaker looked tired. Captain Day Kim, this council has reviewed your actions. We find that you did indeed violate regulations. However, given the circumstances and the testimony we have heard, we are dismissing all charges. Furthermore, the Velkin Consortium has formally requested a military protection agreement with humanity. We are approving this request. Day felt relief wash over him, but the speaker wasn't finished. Additionally, 6 other species have submitted similar requests. It seems your actions have inspired some changes in galactic politics. He didn't sound happy about it. You are hereby promoted to fleet captain and given command of the 1st Joint Species Task Force. You will coordinate between human and allied vessels to respond to threats in the outer systems. Day blinked. That was not what he expected. Furthermore, the speaker said, the Council is establishing new rapid response protocols. No more 12-day delays. Lives are more important than procedures. He looked uncomfortable saying it. This meeting is adjourned. 2 months later, Day stood on the bridge of his new flagship, the UNS Guardian. It was larger than the Indomitable, designed to carry not just human crew, but representatives from allied species. Tai was still his first officer. Yuna still handled communications. His core crew had come with him. Captain, we're receiving multiple distress calls, Yuna said. Pirates attacking a mining colony, slavers raiding a settlement, a ship stranded in hostile territory. How far to each location? Day asked. 2 days to the closest, 4 days to the furthest. Day looked at his tactical display. The Guardian wasn't alone. 5 other human ships were in formation with them, along with 3 Velkin cruisers and 2 vessels from other allied species. Divide the fleet, he ordered. Send task groups to each location. Maximum burn. All ships responding, sir, Yuna said with a smile. They're ready. Day watched the ships break formation and jump to faster-than-light speed. Across the galaxy, other human ships were doing the same thing. The Indomitable, now repaired and upgraded, was patrolling another sector. Captain Junho's Tempest was providing medical support on the Inner Rim. Dozens of other ships, each with their own brave crews, stood ready to help. Tay stepped up beside him. "You know, a few months ago, we were just one ship on a routine patrol. And now we're changing the galaxy," Day said. "Do you think it will last? This alliance?" Day thought about Ambassador Nera's words, about the Velkin children calling them Sky Warriors, about the other species who had seen what humans could do, and decided they wanted that strength protecting them. "Yes," he said, "because we showed them something important. We showed them that strength isn't just about weapons or ships. It's about standing up when others can't. It's about answering when someone calls for help." An alert sounded, another distress call. "Captain, there's a colony under attack. They're requesting immediate assistance." Day didn't hesitate. "Set course. Maximum burn. All hands to battle stations." The Guardian's engines flared to life. The ship jumped into faster-than-light speed, racing toward someone who needed help. In the Galactic Council chambers, the speaker watched reports of human activities with mixed feelings. The Deathworlders were changing everything. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't follow the old rules. They just acted. And it was working. Pirate attacks were down. Slavers were being hunted. Peaceful species were thriving under human protection. The galaxy was becoming safer. "What have we done?" the speaker's aide asked. "We brought the humans into the council thinking we could control them." The speaker shook his head. "We didn't bring them in. We just opened the door, and now they're showing us what we should have been all along." Far away on Earth, in a military academy, young recruits learned about the Battle of Serenity's Hope. They learned about Captain Day Kim and the crew of the Indomitable. They learned what it meant to be a Deathworlder, and they learned the most important lesson of all. When someone sends an SOS, when someone calls for help in their darkest hour, there should always be an answer. The Deathworlders had given the galaxy that answer, and they would keep answering for as long as there were people who needed help, because that's what heroes do.